Well, we can now bring you that breaking news because this moment we know that the presidency has responded to that petition from investigative journalist Manasseh Azuri-Awene regarding the discontinuation of the contract between the YEA, Youth Employment Agency, and Zoomlion. This afternoon, the president has written back to the journalists indicating an interest to review the mode of contracting for the YEA. But the journalist is here with us. Before we speak to Manasseh, let me share with you a few things we are learning from that letter to Manasseh. Now, the government, in its response to Manasseh, says on the expiration of contract between Youth Employment Agency and Zoomlion, it has expired and will not be renewed. This letter signed by the Secretary to the President is very emphatic on that. On point 2, it also says it will audit all payments and claims made to Zoomlion after the contract's expiration. No further payments will be authorized without proper verification, and any unauthorized payments will be recovered. It also goes on to say, Cabinet has directed that future sanitation contracts be subjected to a competitive procurement process rather than one national contract. There should be regional or district-based tenders for private firms. Now, this could reduce costs through competitive pricing and stimulate innovation as companies compete on service quality to secure contracts. A cabinet subcommittee will develop the modalities for implementing this. The government also goes on to say in that letter that it will look into sweeper fees and increase those fees to a more livable income. And on fumigation contracts, this letter states that contracts that have not been performed satisfactorily will be reviewed and, where appropriate, terminated in accordance with their terms and upon the advice of the Attorney General. So that's the response to journalist Manasseh Azuri-Awene, who wrote to the president to discontinue the expired contracts between the Youth Employment Agency and Zoomlion Ghana Limited. Let's have a quick chat with Manasseh, who's joining us via Zoom. Manasseh, it must be a good afternoon hearing back from the president and nearly responding to many of the concerns that you have raised.
Well, Kamini, only a few afternoons in my life could be better than this very one. And this has been 12 years of consistent and persistent advocacy, and also putting out investigative reports and evidence of how bad this deal was and wasn't helping the country in the sanitation sector, and also the way we use our resources. And I can be thankful enough to His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama for this bold step.
Manasseh, I also noticed some of the bullet points, so to speak, the key things that the presidency tackles in the letter. For instance, we can talk about the livable income for people who sweep. That is good news, isn't it?
Yes, it is. One thing that has never left my mind was when I first did this story, I spoke to a 49-year-old widow who said she was doing this to take care of her 3 children. And anytime I have seen these people being exploited, that woman's interview always comes to mind. It is very unconscionable that human beings with brains would sit down and say that someone would work for a month, they don't have health insurance, they don't have transportation, they don't have any form of benefit. And at the end of the month, they go home with only 250 cedis. And some have tried to argue that, well, they don't work for all the 8 hours of the day. But we know how sweepers and cleaners work. The sweepers or cleaners at TV3 don't come and work throughout the day. They come in the morning, work, and then we go home, they come back to clean. That's how cleaners work across the world. So even if you claim that what they do merits 250 cedis, why do you pay someone 600 cedis to manage a 250 cedis worth of work? And that ill motivation has affected how they go out to work. And so many of them have stopped, but you have this company being paid for 45,000 people. And it makes about 27 million Ghana cedis a month. That's Zoomlion from this deal, whilst those working don't receive anything. So I'm very, very happy that going forward, the government is going to pay these people more. We are human beings, our brothers, sisters, mothers, and fathers. And it is only fair that they are paid well.
Manasseh, outside of cancelling or discontinuing the contract with Zoomlion, the presidency also looks to perform some audits in payments and claims, as well as in the fumigation contracts. How crucial are these steps?
They are, and these are issues I included in my petition. It wasn't only to discontinue the contract and increase the wages of the sweepers, but over the years, if you went to the YEA and then asked them to give you a list of the people on the ground sweeping, they wouldn't be able to say it. Even when YEA conducted its own research and went to the ground to do a head count, they got about 38,000 people on the ground. Even that, they said people were even included without they giving them appointment letters. But Zoomlion bills the government for 45,000, and the government has been paying, even though it could not and can still not say that this is the number on the ground which the company brings. So this is crucial to save us some money. And also with this fumigation, if you went to every assembly today and asked them whether they feel any impact of the fumigation, they will tell you no. But there have been 3 separate fumigation contracts awarded to Zoomlion and its companies running concurrently, and then they pay them from the District Assembly's Common Fund, from the Ghana the National Health Insurance Levy. When hospitals were struggling for money, it emerged that the government had paid over 184 million cedis to Zoomlion for fumigation, which is not done. Hundreds of millions of cedis are paid yearly, also from the local government's ministry. So if we want to put all of this together, you would realize that this is a company which has been fleecing the state, of course, with the connivance of very unconscionable persons that we elect to serve as leaders. And I'm happy that after 12 years of advocacy, we have a president that is listening and is prepared to act. And we shouldn't just end here. We should all try to see that what they have announced, they will do it, so that Ghana will save some money, and then our society and the country will also be clean.
Indeed, when Manasseh, on point 3, we know that a cabinet subcommittee will develop modalities for implementing competitive procurement. I mean, that's something we spoke about in our last conversation, that this should be opened up so that it's much more competitive. But as they decide on modalities, having learned so much from how this is operated, what are the pitfalls they should be avoided?
They should avoid giving it back to the same company, because when I did my investigation in 2017, Zoomlion had 25 separate companies for environment alone or sanitation alone. And in all the Zoomlion group or the Jospon group had over 80 companies, but sanitation alone 25. So we should avoid taking it at the national level and then handing it over. And then with the sweepers, we don't even need any company to supervise the sweepers. The assemblies and the YEA can do that. So no matter how this goes, even if they open it up, if this contract was to be given to someone else other than Zoomlion, I would still have protested, because we don't need a third party to come and supervise people to sweep in my district, Bongo district, or where I grew up, Kitekrachi, when we have people on the payroll of the state working at the sanitation department of the assemblies, they can do that. So a chunk of these contracts are not needed. The fumigation is not needed. It should be only when they want to fumigate a particular place. The assemblies can buy the equipment. Many of them have the equipment. They can send their people to do that. So the very few that are left will be the one to lift the waste from the communal container sites to the final disposal site.
Very well.
This is what I think they should. But even with that, it shouldn't be only one company. Zoomlion has failed and uses media and others to just project itself. But when you go to the assemblies, they are reeling in filth, and there's so much evidence of the company's inefficiencies. So they shouldn't just say, well, we are taking it from the national level, but you go to every assembly and they give it back to the same entity. It is still not going to work. And then we should, in the coming days, weeks, months, and years, still police the system to ensure that the right thing is done.
Very well, Manasseh, we'll leave it here. Thank you so much for talking to us.